when the individual is immersed in an addictive behavior, so what happens is what happens to the fish in the fish bowl, and you ask the fish, tell me, describe for me water. And the fish says, water? I don't know what water is. Because when you are so immersed, you cannot see it. You always need some emotional distance in order to be able to appreciate what's going on. So the person may see some of the reactions and so on, but doesn't make total sense for the person. It's like for the person who's sober, who's not involved in the addictive behavior, what the person struggling with the addiction is doing makes no sense. It's like, how can you be so stupid, so dumb? You have had 3 previous convictions, and now you are taking the risk again to ruin your life? What's wrong with you? So for the person who's struggling with the addictive behavior, the issue is, you know me, so why do you continue hitting me on this when you know that this is what I need to survive? How can you insist on seeing the world in a way which is not my world?
So people usually do things for a reason. It may not be an entirely rational reason, but if you sort of talk to them and trace out what happened, they can usually explain why they did what they did. So I'm a big fan of a form of psychotherapy called rational emotive behavior therapy, and it's a fairly simple model that sort of connects A, B, and C. A is the activating event, what happened. C is the consequence. In this case, it may be substance use. The key is to figure out the belief, the B, in between the A and the C. One of the possibilities may be awfulizing. They look at that activating event, the A, and it's awful. End of the world, awful. And I got to do something about it. And it may be using a substance to deal with the awfulness. Another one is what we call low frustration tolerance or frustration intolerance. I can't handle this anymore. My anxious symptoms are bugging me. My panic attacks are bugging me. And the consequence, the behavioral consequence, substance use, may be driven by that belief. Another one is what we call global rating of self. It's sort of like self-downing. I'm no good, you're no good, the world's no good. There's a lot of downing going on. And those feelings of worthlessness lead to substance use. So I tend not to look at substance use just in a vacuum. It's like, all right, let's trace this out, what happened in the days preceding substance use, and I try to really key in on those things. Was there a circumstance that you felt was awful, catastrophic, or horrible, and you're dealing with the horribleness through substance use? Was there some frustration you felt you couldn't handle on your own and you needed a substance? Or were you self-downing or other downing or the world downing?
We have an individual who doesn't have a lot of tools, has been emotionally numbed and disconnected from a lot of positive things in their life. And they're tasked with, now managing not only their life, but the consequences as a result of their disease and the compulsive behaviors. So we're going to have a very vulnerable individual. We're going to have an individual who's typically not going to be very flexible, who's going to be struggling with resiliency and open-mindedness. We're going to have an individual where patience and tolerance are going to be very tall orders. They have the hardware, they have the skills, they have the ability as much as anybody else, but their brain has been adversely impacted in its ability to just immediately snap back and handle life, as they say in the 12-step world, on its own terms. That underlying craving, I think, does a really good job at fueling, the perception, distorted, but the perception that they are, in fact, in control. I think at the same time, the individual logically can see that there's a lot of evidence in their life that's actually to the contrary. However, because of that very strong craving and that underlying message, there's a lot of rationalizing, a lot of cognitive gymnastics that are taking place in the individual's brain. All right, yeah, no, I might have been out of control last week, but if I make some adjustments in terms of my use and meeting this responsibility, then that'll absolve me of all of those problems and loss of control that I've experienced.
Denial is a defense mechanism in which people tell themselves they don't have a problem. People tell themselves things really aren't that bad. People tell themselves what I'm experiencing is normal. It's no different from what other people experience. And it's a way that the brain tricks itself when there is a sense of inner conflict, because for a lot of people, at least on a subconscious level, there is some sense of this isn't quite right. However, the desire or need for that chemical overpowers that. And so denial is a way of tricking the brain into thinking this is okay.
I think one big theme is the denial and the lies, both between the person with the, struggling with the addiction and the family or the loved ones around them. I don't think my parents wanted to believe everything, even things they knew were going on. And they were in denial. I was in denial because I didn't want to believe it.
When you are addicted to something, you are able to rationalize almost anything in your mind. Even things that are like so out there that just like to a Martian wouldn't make any sense, you are able to like somehow say like, this is okay, I can do this, I'm fine, I got this, and nobody's gonna recognize this. It's like clear as day to other people, but you can't recognize that other people are noticing because you have no sense of what's going on in the outside world because you are so concerned about what's going on inside of you.